Canelo versus Crawford. Crawford went out there and he got a clean victory. I'm not going with the rhetoric that people are trying to say like he dog walked him or anything like that. I don't think it was nothing crazy. I think he was just the better fighter. He won on points. He didn't beat the hell out of Canelo. Canelo didn't give up. He wasn't quitting. It was a competitive fight the entire way through. It was a good fight. What do you think about it?
It was a good fight, but I'm also not buying into the post comments that a lot of these Canelo fans are making, saying that Canelo was old, that it wasn't the same Canelo. I'm not buying into that, because we're not gonna sit here and discredit what Crawford did, right? Because prior to the fight, most people wasn't giving Crawford a chance prior to the fight. So you got to keep that same energy. You can't post fight. You can't say, "Oh, that wasn't Canelo," right? You can't do that. That was an impressive victory. And as I said in the last video, that you know, Crawford hinted at maybe some movement, and he gave us that, right?
Not so much to where it was annoying, but it was
No,
just
exactly.
just
Exactly. It was just enough. He just had a perfect game plan. And then one thing that I noticed as well, he wasn't switching stance.
yeah, no, I mean, why would he? If he went orthodox, that would give Canelo the advantage. Stay southpaw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, of course. But I'm saying I'm pretty sure that's something that Canelo was anticipating in his preparation for the fight. And Crawford made a comment afterwards, because they mentioned that at the conference, right? The post conference. And he was like that his coaches told him that there's no reason to switch stances because what you're doing is already working. So let's stick to what's going right for us.
Exactly.
But it was a beautiful performance, man. Like, Crawford did what he does. And then I noticed that there was a few instances where Canelo, he was visibly frustrated. There was a few moments where he would get punched with something and he would almost like look away
Yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah.
kind of stop. He would stop and look away. And sometimes he would shake his head. And I'm like,
Almost like he's
see?
disappointed, basically.
Exactly. And it wasn't that anything necessarily hurt him, because I don't think either guy got hurt. Nothing that either guy was throwing was hurting one another. It was just that he even said after the fight where he was saying, the guy is just, he has everything, right? I couldn't figure him out. That's what Canelo said about Crawford. I couldn't figure him out. The guy has everything, right? Let's stop underestimating Bud. Let's stop underestimating Bud. Let's start putting respect on Bud. He is the greatest fighter of this era, of this generation, is not even disputable. And he's going to go down in history as one of the greatest just in general.
I mean,
And I think he would have been able to show this. I mean, he was the first to do it in 2. Now 3. I mean, it's good luck catching up.
he separated himself.
And the crazy part is, that Crawford, you think about it, he took like 2 or 3 years off, came back in a bigger weight class, and collected several titles. I mean, he's different, man. Like,
Yeah,
name a fighter that can do that, right? Took years off, came back, won straps.
So I want to talk a little bit more about what you said, that Canelo isn't a different fighter than what he used to be. He's still the same fighter, because we have to talk about what took place in the fight, and that will kind of prove your point to where when you said Canelo's still the guy he was. Like, he's still in his prime. He's only 34 years old. So for people to say that he's over the hill, he's not over the hill. He's just developed a fighting style that's suitable for the people that he's fighting against, which is bigger, slower people. And he fights that kind of way now. So let's look at what happened in the fight a little bit. Just break down kind of like some of the nuances. What Crawford did really well is that he was able to, I love this. So number one, his footwork was beautiful. He constantly moved just enough to keep Canelo turning. Kept stepping to Canelo's outside, making Canelo have to turn. And like, because you're southpaw, like, you're in that open stance, and every time he pivots this way, Canelo has to like turn his entire body to follow him. And so very little pivots would cause Canelo to literally have to shift his whole body. And while he's shifting his whole body, he can't punch. He can't land anything effective. So that was like a beautiful game plan with the footwork and being southpaw and constantly turning him. Did great job with that. But another thing that he did really, really well, and this is something that you have to be amongst the best to do this, because not many fighters can do this right here, which is salt and pepper, pity pat. He did a lot of pity patting in the fight. People don't know how to do pity. Like, when you get into a fight, most people just throw bombs. Like, even at the highest level. Look at like, for example, I'm gonna give you a good example. Now, who I'm about to mention I'm not trying to throw shade on this person. I like him as a fighter. But look at Song Yadong. just like a great example of this. Every punch that he throws
Yeah.
is 100% power, trying to knock you out with every punch. When you watch him, when he
I
fight
mean, we
Peter,
saw that.
go ahead. You said what?
I mean, we saw that in an earlier fight on that card.
Just bombs
There was a
away.
fight. It was Lester Martinez. He was fighting some guy from Cameroon. Lester was one of Crawford's main training partners for the Canelo
Yeah,
fight. And
yeah,
if you watch that fight, it was like rock'em sock'em robots. It
just
was in their face, just throwing power shots after power. There was no jabs. There was no pity pat shots.
nothing.
Everything was power, and they had insane cardio because they was able to do that for 10 rounds.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. But when you look at the Song Yadong versus Peter Yan fight, and I know we're talking about boxing and that's MMA, but it still applies. It's just something I could think of off the top of my head. The first round where Song Yadong was fighting Peter Yan, they were kind of like just going back and forth throwing bombs. But Peter Yan was able to drop the power down and start throwing more like soft touches, mixing in the power here and there. And Peter Yan took the rest of the fight. After that, like he showed, okay, this is your level. And he went a level above him by adding light shots. That's what Canelo did. That's what Crawford did. Crawford was able to throw light shots and then pop, 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 light shots. Pop, pop. Look at Lomachenko. He was able to do he does the same thing. Light shots, pop, pop, pop. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather is able to do the same. We're talking about the highest level people are the ones who are able to do this. And Crawford doing this last night made him so effective because this is son. I'm going off topic. It's a little rant. You watching Slayer?
I haven't watched that anime yet.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just explain something to you. Some people who watch this
I know about it though. I know about it.
So there's this character in the show. His name is Akaza, and Akaza, he's basically like one of these demons. And what makes him special is that he can sense fighting spirit. Fighting spirit basically is bad intentions. Basically is what that means. So the worse your intentions, the greater your fighting spirit and your will to dominate and to win, the greater his ability to sense you is. So the harder you go to swing, the faster you go to swing, the more bad intentions you put on your punches, the easier it is for him to read your shots. Does that make sense? So now let's look at Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has tip-top defense. But in order for him to defend your punches, you know what you need? He needs you to have killing intent. He needs you to throw bombs. If you throw a bomb at Canelo, he can see it coming really easily. What did Crawford do? Little light punches. He would throw these little light combos, and literally Canelo would get hit with like 3 of them. And he would get frustrated, like, what the fuck was that?
Well, one thing about Canelo as well is that he doesn't really throw jabs. He's not a big jabber. And he would benefit from throwing more jabs.
100%. So that's what I wanted to segue into. So we got Crawford throwing these pity pat punches. We have Canelo who requires bad intentions for him to see your punches coming. And so the reason why Canelo couldn't see his punches coming is because most of them were these little light flicker punches that he couldn't stop. Now let's flip it on the other side. Crawford is the same way. Why? Because everyone is the same way. All of us as fighters, in order for us to defend punches to the best of our ability, we need bad intentions. Because this is what bad intentions does. Say I'm in my stance, right? If I have no bad intentions, this is what I'm going to do. I just reach out. Boop, I touched you. The worse my intentions become, the more I go like this.
The more you telegraphed.
The more I telegraph. So the worse you're, and this is natural. It's very hard not to do this. For you to bypass this, it's like you're going ultra instinct. Like for you to bypass this, like Crawford does, without no bad intentions, but just throwing just whipping shots like that, different. Naturally, when you want to hit someone, you cock back, and then you can see the punch coming. Yep. So guess what? Canelo, every punch that he throws is a power shot. Every punch. So Crawford can see all of them coming. Yep. That's why he's throwing all these. I'm talking about there were some looping shots that Crawford literally it missed by like 2 feet. How much he missed by. There was a few shots.
Canelo doesn't. Yeah, Canelo. Not,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Canelo doesn't really throw straight punches. He doesn't really throw straight punches.
But here's what
everything
it is.
Everything for the most part is looping power shot.
And the reason why that is, Steve, is like because people say, "Oh, Canelo's not who he used to be." No, he's not, because he moved up to 168. Everybody that he fights now, he's putting him down with these big old clobbering haymakers to put him down. That's what he needs now to survive where he lives. Like, this is where he's at. He's not thriving off of being tactical, skillful. He's thriving off of beating big dudes down. So it's not that it's not that he's not in his prime, it's that his evolution worked against him. He has an evolution of his fighting style that is good for where he is, but bad for fighting a slick, smaller person. Crawford's evolution
He had to
is
adapt to where he's.
he adapted to where he's at, and that right now, that adaptation is bad for Crawford. Like that adaptation is horrible because Crawford is slick, pop, 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 hella
Yeah.
patient. But overall, basically, what I want to say basically is this: the way Crawford's style has developed is just really bad for somebody's style like Canelo at this moment. Canelo could, if for Canelo to win, he would have to drop the bad intentions, and that's not how he fights anymore. He fights, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He would have to just one of these right here. You know, when you hear, you just bop, 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 ha, 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 like just like light little shots. You know, like
But he's become so accustomed. He's become so accustomed to that style because he's been using that style for X amount of years. So for him to go back to what he was doing when he was at a lighter weight class, it's going to be a process. And I just think that at this point in his career, does he really want to do that? You know what I'm saying?
he's at the end of his career.
I don't think he does.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think he's proved
And
enough.
another thing that I want to, yeah, exactly, he has. And another thing that I wanted to speak on as well, because this is another comment that I heard circling around after the fight. They were saying that besides the comments about Canelo being past his prime, people were also kind of making, and it kind of goes hand in hand with that. And maybe I'm saying the same thing, but I saw some comments also saying that Canelo, he's too old. Which I think is kind of comical to say because and I know that age doesn't paint the full picture, but Crawford is 37, about to be 38 in 2 weeks. He's an older guy as well. He was coming off of a multi-year layoff. He may not have been boxing as long as Canelo at a high level, but he's been boxing for a long time as well. So it's just the Canelo fans are the only ones that are making excuses for Canelo, right? You got to just take this L and keep it moving. It was a great fight. It was enjoyable to watch. Let's just leave it at that, right? In terms of these excuses that these people are making.
It's
That's not
crazy
because you're
because
just taking away from what we saw.
yeah, like Canelo is at the top of his game for his evolution, for where he is and who he
Yes.
needs to fight against at that weight class. He looks great. He's at the top of his game. He had 12-round cardio. He looked really good. He's just a bad stylistic matchup. So this is where I wanted to talk about now. So just like a quick segue. There is such a thing as being ahead of somebody skill-wise. Like my skill set is at an 8, your skill set is at a 6. I beat you because I have a better skill set. I have a higher skill set than you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I can beat you if I have a higher skill set. Now, what happens when skill sets become relative, right? Like a 7 and an 8 skill set, willpower can overcome an 8 if you're a 7. Speed and power can overcome an 8 if you're a 7. You know what I'm saying? Like if your skills are relative, other things can make up the difference if you're like a little bit behind. Does that make sense? But what
Yeah, it makes
happens
sense.
is if you're both strong, if you're both fast, if you're both have, a 9 and a 9 in the skill set, well then what else is there, right? Because you're both strong, you're both fast, you both have good cardio, you both have a good skill set. Well then that's where styles make fights. Period. There's no way you cannot get around a styles make fights. There's always styles that can beat other styles, regardless, right? Which one is at the top of the food chain? That's arguable. I believe that a boxer who moves his feet and is defensive and can counter well and use offense well, I believe that they're at the top of the food chain as far as styles go. But regardless of what you think is at the top of the food chain, we know that styles do play a role in fights. Some styles are bad for other styles. Some styles are easier for other styles. Canelo is the best of the best when it comes to his style. He is the creme de la creme. He's the best. Crawford is the best of the best when it comes to his style. When you put those styles together, one of them is going to come out on top because one of them is a bad match for the other. And Crawford has that boxing, stand his ground, but move just enough. He has a style that beats Canelo. Canelo didn't look bad. He didn't look slow. He wasn't too old. Nothing. He was great. He was perfect. Just fought a bad. Just couldn't beat this. You're never going to beat that style ever. Does that make sense?
And I mean, and like I said, makes perfect sense. And like I said, a little bit earlier in the video, Canelo said this himself. He said that I could not figure him out, right? He's saying it himself. I could not figure out Crawford what else do you need, right? The man is saying it himself, right? But Crawford also, he just had a beautiful game plan and he stuck to that game plan. And the way he balanced movement and then staying in the pocket when it was necessary. He would throw off some shots and he would then start moving again. He
And
never
then he could
moved
throw
so
this.
much to where he never moved so he was not able to get back into a position to be in the pocket. And when he was in the pocket, he was throwing, right? But it was very, obviously calculated. He was mixing up the pity pat shots with some good power shots, digging into the body. It was just a masterful, masterful game plan that he had. And yeah, there was nothing that Canelo could have done on any given night to beat that style, because that style will beat Canelo's style, in my opinion, every single time.
Exactly. And that's really what it boils down to. The movement-based, boxing-based style is the dominant style for striking. Period. Look, here's another example. Evolve versus Better Beef. The best of the best power forward walking pressure style versus the best of the best moving based boxer style. Who wins?
Move it.
And Bivol won on the last one, right? It was like, razor thin, but I think that boxing style is always going to take the edge by not by a mile sometimes, but it's going to take the edge by a little. And one thing that I think Crawford did so well is, man, Crawford, like, you talked about how he was in the pocket and he would throw those like pity pat and mixing power shots and stuff like that. Somehow, I don't know how he does this. Like, I can see the path. I'm not saying I don't know, but I see the path. He is able,
Yeah.
he has figured out the way of throwing hard punches lightly. I don't know how that's the best way I can explain it. He throws hard lightly. Best way I can
It
explain
gives the
that.
illusion that it's like, yeah, it's
It's like whipping
yeah, I
light
mean,
shots that are heavy. Like, if you get caught, they're gonna do damage. But they're whipping light shots. It's like you have to. It's like you're going into it with not bad intentions, while at the same time having bad intentions. He's found the way to do that.
you know what's crazy? Because that reminds me of another anime. The anime I was telling you to watch, the Gachikura. It's called Gachikura, and there's the main character. His ability is that he can turn he has these gloves that can turn any object into a weapon, right? And
Okay.
he had turned this object into a weapon, and the weapon that it turned into was a defensive weapon. So this weapon can see the opponent's movements before they happen, right? So then it can defend accordingly. But the flaw in that is that if you have no ill intent, then it doesn't know what you're doing, right? So it can
It's like
only see what you're doing if there's an intent. But the moment
killing
you
it.
don't have that intent, if you can kind of trick it to not have intent, then it does not see anything that you're doing. And that's what
That's
Crawford
it.
did. Crawford was having, there was no telegraph at
He
all. It's
found it.
just
He
crazy.
found the way. He's went into this
Yes.
other realm, this domain of striking that very few people can enter into. Because when I saw those punches that he threw at Canelo, I knew no one's defending those. Like, you don't defend shots like that.
Because you can't tell the difference.
You can't. You don't. So those shots, you can only defend
You
them.
couldn't tell the
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm saying you couldn't tell the difference between the pity pat shots and the
real
power
ones.
shots because they all looked the same. It was the impact that was different, but the execution was the same.
It's the same thing. So I was gonna say, like, the only way to defend shots like that is to have masterful range awareness and never really give him a chance to even throw those types of shots at you. Because here's the thing. One downside about Crawford is that he is exceptionally counter-based. Like, he almost has none of his own work. Almost all of his work, I would say about 85% of it, is counter-based. And it works for him, obviously. So it's not the terrible downside, but he's waiting for you to do something so that way he can counter you and react to you. So I thought about it like this. Floyd Mayweather versus Crawford, prime for prime, right? The reason why what he does wouldn't work on Floyd Mayweather is because Floyd Mayweather is not going to be in that environment to let that happen in the first place. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to be in a range to where you can throw these little shots at him and get off. Like, he's not going to be there. So, for example, when you throw that cross, because he's fighting in the open stance, Canelo throw that cross a lot of times from the orthodox to Crawford's southpaw. Floyd does the same thing, but what Floyd will do is He'll throw it and he'll roll. Canelo did the same thing sometimes too. But what Floyd will also do is he'll throw it and he'll crash into you and hug onto you. He'll throw it, he'll pull back. Floyd is not going to be in a range for you to even start that stuff with him. You see what I'm saying? Because he doesn't fight that way. He's not going to try to walk you down in that type of manner. So the fight between a Floyd and a Crawford wouldn't go that way because Floyd knows how to avoid the situation. Whereas Canelo is trying to defend the shots in the situation. Here's a good way to explain it. Imagine you're an alcoholic. Your problem is drinking alcohol. But what one person does is this. They go to a bar and they don't drink. That's what they do. The smarter person doesn't even go to the bar at all because they don't even want to give a chance to them drinking. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So that's what Floyd does. Floyd is going to avoid the whole situation and not give Crawford a chance to even throw those types of shots at him in the first place. He's going to be way more
sitting at the bar just drinking water.
Crawford in the bar drinking water. But you see what I'm saying? So like that's like the difference between Canelo's style and like a Floyd style, and styles make fights. If Floyd were to fight him, I'm not saying Floyd would beat Crawford. I don't know who would win that. I think it would be close. I do think Floyd could find a way to kind of get around that style personally because Crawford thrives on styles. We can't get that confused. Like Crawford needs you to fight a certain way for him to thrive the best. Floyd is not going to give him that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but ultimately, the style that Canelo brought to the table, which is defending individual shots, will never work against Crawford because you can never defend an individual strike that has no ill will or bad intention behind it. No one can. No one can. If somebody stands right in front of you and goes, pop, you're going to get hit no matter what. Like, you're going to get hit because you can't see it coming unless he goes like this. Then you can see it and defend it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there you have it. Crawford has unlocked Ultra Instinct.
Let's try to work that into the thumbnail.
That's going to be the beginning. The beginning is going to be Crawford has unlocked Ultra Instinct. We're going to put a ding.
That's perfect. Yeah, man. Try to get that in the picture too, man. That's perfect.